This massive VTuber just exposed her management company for potentially stealing her money and over $500,000 of charity money. But after researching this video, I realized things are just so much worse than what's currently being talked about, as this company allegedly owes over $2 million to its creators and loans. And it actually just got worse because we just found out it's now an $11 million disaster, but we'll get into that later on in this video. So starting things off, this YouTuber spent the last 2 years raising money for nonprofit medical organizations, and her agency has been sitting on over $500,000 meant for those charities. And it's safe to say things have escalated far beyond what anyone could have anticipated, because once this information was brought to light, a massive wave of creators started officially announcing that they were leaving this same agency, all for the same reasons: no payouts and a complete lack of transparency. But meet Iron Mouse, a American VTuber from Puerto Rico who's been on the scene since the very beginning. We're talking about August of 2017. This is back when English-speaking VTubers were basically unheard of and still pretty niche. If you don't know, a VTuber is essentially a virtual YouTuber. It's a newer genre of content creation that originates from Japan. Normally, it's someone who uses a virtual avatar rather than showing their face on screen. And to do this, they often use like a face tracking tool, so it's not just some cartoon sitting there on the side of the screen. You actually have an animated character that's being played by a real person behind the screen. And what makes Iron Mouse's career story pretty notable is the circumstances that led her to streaming in the first place. Originally, Iron Mouse had dreams of becoming an opera singer, specifically a coloratura soprano. That apparently is one of the most technically demanding types of opera singing that you can do. But life had other plans for her, because unfortunately she was diagnosed with something called common variable immunodeficiency, or CVID for short. And without getting too deep into the medical stuff, it's basically an immune disorder that left her largely bedridden and isolated from the world. So if you're training to be an opera singer, which requires you to be around people, perform live, travel, and so on, and then you get hit by this condition, that means things get pretty hard for you to leave the house safely. And then on top of that, to make things worse, 2020 was a terrible year for basically everyone, but an even worse year for people who are immunocompromised. But going back to 2017, she decided to pivot to streaming full time. As she puts it, she was feeling lonely and wanted something to do. And since, showing her real face online wasn't something she wanted to do, she was inspired by Kazuna AI. And Kazuna AI is considered to be one of the first VTubers to exist and created her own digital persona. And honestly, it worked out very well for Iron Mouse, because by 2024, she had become one of the most subscribed Twitch streamers of all time during a subathon stream in September, which surpassed Kai Cenat's record at the time, which was an absolute massive achievement. But her success isn't just about numbers for her though, as she's always been pretty open about using her platform to raise funds and spread awareness for immune disorders, which makes sense given her direct connection to this cause. When Iron Mouse first started, she was independent, but in 2020, she became one of the founding members of this new agency called VSHOJO, or VSHOJO. I still don't actually know how they pronounce it, but I think I'm gonna go for VSHOJO. VSHOJO. Oh no. I'm gonna go for VSHOJO. VSHOJO sounds easier to pronounce though. I gotta make an executive decision, and I have no idea which one's right. VSHOJO was a massive development in the VTuber scene. All right, coming in from the future here, that was a bad executive decision. But honestly, it doesn't really matter because the company doesn't really exist anymore. So enjoy me mispronouncing the name for the rest of the video, as it was the first major VTuber agency based entirely in North America. Up until then, most of the big agencies were Japanese companies. VSHOJO positioned itself as being different and modest, as on their website, they call themselves a talent-first agency. With that statement, they gave the impression they would at least listen to their talent's feedback, work hard to help them achieve their dreams, and their biggest selling point being, letting the creators keep their intellectual property. That's huge in the world of VTubers, because a lot of agencies actually own the character designs that can basically be taken away from them when they leave. This was not the case with VSHOJO. And what also kind of differentiated them a little bit is they provided resources like better models, merchandising opportunities, sponsorship deals, and all sorts of stuff that managing agencies normally don't do, while letting the creators maintain more control than they would with traditional agencies. And while, hey, that sounded great on paper, and for a while, it seemed to work. VSHOJO attracted some of the biggest names in the Western VTuber scene, and Iron Mouse continued to grow her audience alongside of them. But as we know, that might have just been smoke and mirrors, because that didn't end well. Because on July 21st, 2025, Iron Mouse dropped a bombshell. She uploaded a video to YouTube titled "Why I Left VSHOJO." And within hours, it was blown up. As of recording this, it's already surpassed 1.2 million views, which tells you how significant this is not only for the VTuber scene, but also for the internet as a whole. Because this video starts off pretty straightforward. She's leaving the agency, but then she gets into the why. And that's where things get a little bit wild, because according to Iron Mouse, she recently found out for the past couple of months that she's been misled by VSHOJO about her finances. And here she claims that based on the information that she currently has, she believes she's owed a significant amount of funds that have not been paid out to her. But the most important thing for her, however, is the fact that the charity that she loves and promotes, the Immune Deficiency Foundation, is owed $500,000, as she explains here.
And most importantly, the thing that hurts me the most is that the Immune Deficiency Foundation, which is the most important charity to me, and also the reason why I'm here today, is owed over $500,000 from VSHOJO.
And to understand why this hit so hard, you need to know about Iron Mouse's connections to the Immune Deficiency Foundation, which is a national nonprofit organization that's dedicated to improving the lives of people primarily with immunodeficiency diseases. They provide support, education, and advocacy for patients and their families who are dealing with these conditions. Essentially, they're trying to help people in situations similar to what Iron Mouse has been experiencing throughout her life. Hence why she's actively been fundraising for them for years, since at least 2023. She's been working with her friend Connor, who goes by CDogVA online, to raise money through various events. They've done things like charity bike rides, online auctions, and all sorts of stuff. And the Immune Deficiency Foundation even put out a statement backing her up. A spokesperson told Newsweek portal, "Our ongoing relationship with Iron Mouse is both long-standing and transparent. Each time she's hosted a fundraising activity, she's done so with the care to ensure the contributions are handled responsibly. She's been steadfast in her genuine commitment to supporting our organization and our mission." Now, for the situation that just caused this complete fallout. In 2024, Iron Mouse did a subathon, and she surpassed 310 subscribers on Twitch and set new records in the process. But more importantly, that subathon raised over $515,000 to the Immune Deficiency Foundation. Now, according to Iron Mouse, when she did a similar subathon back in 2023, VSHOJO handled this payment without any issues. Everything went smoothly, like the money arrived at its intended destination and everyone was satisfied. But this time, nearly a year later for the stream in 2024, that money still hasn't reached the charity as of recording this video. Although they did just have a massive raise separately, but we'll get into that later on. We're now talking about the 2024 charity situation that Iron Mouse is referring to when she talks about being misled by VSHOJO. Imagine raising $500,000 for a cause that's deeply personal to you, thinking that you've actually made a real difference here, and then you find out months later that no one actually received that money. Yeah, that's unacceptable. And obviously, she makes it very clear in this video that there's so much more to the story that she just can't tell us right now, as she's been instructed by her attorney to wait for more legal proceedings to unfold before she can tell the full story. So if you were thinking, wow, this is a massive talent agency, Iron Mouse isn't probably the only creator, you would be correct, because Iron Mouse wasn't the only VSHOJO talent to leave this year. Even before her big revelation, like, there was already cracks shown in the foundation. Because back in April, a VTuber by the name of Matara Khan announced that her contract with VSHOJO would be ending in May, and that she would actually be going independent. 2 months later, another one by the name of Giga publicly said that she had terminated her contract on June 27th. And on the exact same day, Zentreya, who was also one of the founding talents of VSHOJO alongside of Iron Mouse, also announced that she would be leaving on July 11th. So that's a lot of their big talent gone in just a few months. And at the time, none of these departures seemed particularly dramatic. Like, people, I guess, leave agencies all the time. Like, contracts end, creators want to go independent, or they get better offers. Stuff like this happens. Meanwhile, though, behind the scenes, VSHOJO, they were allegedly trying to sell the whole company for the sum to essentially pay back the creators the money they owed them and for loans. So now you have this screenshot out there, and this was just like a month before all this became public, and likely a desperate attempt by VSHOJO to avoid this public situation that's currently unfolding as we speak. Kat here, who shared the screenshot, is known for being an early crypto investor, and he explained here that when he went through the financials, it looked like a team that had never run a business before. So that's interesting to see. But jumping ahead just by 1 month after Iron Mouse's video dropped, Zentreya responded in a way that suggested there may be way more going on behind the scenes than anyone realized. She hinted there were also ongoing issues with the agency that potentially influenced her decision to leave as well. And just like that, the floodgates opened. The day after Iron Mouse released her video, fellow VTuber Henya announced that she was quitting VSHOJO and going independent. And I mean, at this point, it's kind of like dominoes falling because so many big names just got up and left. Like all of these creators here. So I mean, it's safe to say the VTuber community's reaction was swift and pretty unanimous in supporting Iron Mouse. Fellow streamers and VTubers started commenting on the whole situation almost immediately. Giga, who had already left VSHOJO, chimed in. Connor, who's been working with Iron Mouse on the charity stuff for years, also showed his support. Even creators outside of the VTuber space like Shibuya Kahu started weighing in. Pretty much all of them publicly showing support for Iron Mouse and her decision. And the fact that so many other talents immediately started leaving after this seems like Iron Mouse's video either revealed information they hadn't known before or gave them the courage to take action and speak up about their issues with the company themselves. So, this has been quite the situation to see unfold. And what also makes this a little bit interesting is VSHOJO has not responded to this, at least publicly in any way. The only thing they've done is remove their affiliate section on their Twitter profile, which used to list a bunch of their partners. Now there's nothing there. So that's interesting. Then on top of that, the VSHOJO store has been removed, which is also definitely interesting. But as of right now, all we can really do is wait for the situation to unfold properly. Iron Mouse has already promised that when she's legally able to do so, that she'll tell the full story of what happened behind the scenes. And given how dramatic the small segments of the story have been, I can only imagine what the complete picture will look like. And just taking a step back, this whole situation is just so wild. You have an agency that was supposed to be talent first, allegedly sitting on a whole bunch of charity money, while misleading its biggest star about finances. And then you have an entire roster of talent leaving in the span of a few months. And obviously things got so bad that one of the founding members had to go public with serious allegations. It's just like a masterclass of how not to run a talent agency. And then you can't forget, literally a month before all this came out, them trying to quick sale or fire sale the whole org for, I guess, its entire debt. That's crazy. I honestly just want to know, where did things go wrong? As most agencies, they run on a revenue split business model. And clearly their talent was making money. So they had to have been making money. Like, did they just overinvest into these projects and hire too many people, or did they pay themselves out too much? I don't know. As of right now, all we can do is really speculate. I guess for now, only VSHOJO and a few investors who've seen their financials actually know what happened. Okay. So since recording this video, VSHOJO has actually responded, and it's worse than what we thought. So here's Justin Gunrun's response. VSHOJO has failed, and I've mismanaged the company into the situation you're all witnessing. So today I'm sharing the difficult news that VSHOJO is shutting down, and I take full responsibility for the decisions that led us to this point. I've been doing everything I can to fundraise and right the ship these past few months, but despite my efforts, we're in a worse position, and those that I care about are now paying the price. Over the past few years, we've raised about $11 million to pursue a bold talent-first approach to VTubing, prioritizing creators and community over short-term profits to achieve long-term sustainability. Our funding went directly to our creators through generous splits, debut investments, infrastructure, concerts, events, and staffing, all designed to support them. We also wanted our talent to own their own IP, which we knew was a unique creator-first approach for the agency. However, despite all of our efforts, the business failed to generate the revenue was needed to sustain that model, and eventually we ran out of money. Additionally, I acknowledge that some of the money spent by the company was raised in connection with talent activity, which I later learned was intended for a charitable initiative. Well, that's a lie. Here's a post of him retweeting Iron Mouse's charity post. Like, hello, there's no way that he didn't know this was for charity. As a business owner, you don't just get like this massive check into your bank account and you're like, gee, I wonder where this is from. I guess we'll just spend it. What kind of irresponsible tomfoolery is this? Yeah, no, I'm actually just shocked at how stupid this is. But whatever, continuing. At the time, we were working hard to raise additional investment capital to cover our costs. Okay, we apparently covered that earlier. And I firmly believe, based on the information available to us, that we would be able to do so and cover all expenses. Oh no. Okay, so they were literally spending creator talent money and then going, oh, we think that we can raise enough money to keep us afloat and keep everything paying out. It kind of looks like they were running a Ponzi from reading this. But either way, we were unsuccessful in our fundraising efforts. I made the decision to pursue funding, and I own its consequences. No, dude, you made the decision to allegedly spend creator funds. That was your error there. You can keep your talent's funds in a separate account and try to raise money, and if you go bust, hey, you're bust. Because that money wasn't yours to begin with. And that would have even put them in a better position to raise, because at least they wouldn't have betrayed their creators and all the creators' money would have been safe. Then it would actually be easier for them to raise funds because, you know, they don't own any IP here. Their value prop is they have all these massive creators signed to them. So if they lose their creators, the whole thing collapses. So this is just stupid on a whole new level. Anyway, he then goes on to say that he is deeply sorry to all the talents, staff, friends, and community members who believed in our brand. You did not deserve this. Justin Gunrun. Well, yeah, he's looking at a very rough year. Apparently, they raised $11 million, and clearly that completely imploded. So investors and the remaining owners are left with some serious losses. And since the creators are contractors, they would get paid after the corporate debt is paid, meaning the company has to pay the creditors first. And since there's apparently no money left and they don't have any valuable IP, as I mentioned earlier, I don't think these creators are going to be getting any money. And that's just such a shame because it's owed to them. And it's not like they're going to make any money soon because they lost their entire roster, and who would ever want to work with them again? I mean, this is just such a disgusting disaster, as it looks like this company was using the money that was owed to creators to float the company to keep it alive. I can only hope in the long run this will only be a small bump in the road to all the creators affected by this, even though it's an absolute dumpster fire. And I just really hope this doesn't discourage them from making future content. But I mean, hey, either way, at least they didn't get a $6 billion contract to build a city and then build one single half-finished house like Akon did here. Because I would definitely recommend checking out that story here, because that is also a complete dumpster fire as well. But hey, other than that, subscribe if you're new, drop a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.